firstly, okay, I came here when, like in July, August last year, 2010, and I'm a Thai boxing instructor. That's my background. I have a degree in the sciences. I did neuroscience and a master's in public health. Now, I like to think that I have confidence and certain qualities that I'd like to pass on to other people. So a friend of mine put me towards Halo, and
sorry,
phones off, please. And well, basically, Halo gave me a mentee called Mohammed. Now, Mohammed's background, he is from Iran, and because of the regime, or basically conflicts that happened there, he had to come here and he was made a refugee. Now, with Mohammed, because of what he went through, his personal trials and tribulations, he's ended up he has physical disabilities. He can't really walk very well. And also mentally as well, he's, how do you call it, scarred. For example, he can't be in small enclosed spaces because of what he went through in Iran. Now, his goal was to go into university, all right? And he was an architect in Iran, so he had that level, he had attained that level of thinking, of university degree, high level of thinking, but he wanted to attain something here, and he wanted to go into business or finance, accounting, that area. Now, I've recently come out of university, so Halo, it was quite a good matchmaker, I have to say, because I know the system. I've been in university for 3-4 years. I know how to apply, who to apply to, how to get, LEA funding, what have you, because I've been through the rigmarole. Now, with Mohammed, one of the things that we did not have was time, because he wanted to get in the year before, the academic year beginning 2010, and it was already early August, wasn't it? Right? It's early August, so we had to act fast. Now, one of the main things I asked from Mohammed is that, did you apply through UCAS? Does anyone here been to a UK university?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so you guys understand.
Yeah, UCAS, yes. Theory.
So I asked Mohammed, let me see your UCAS application form. Let me see what you've written. Let me see your academic background. And one of the biggest trials was that he didn't necessarily do it himself. He went through the UK Refugee Council. It was another NGO establishment that helped him go through this. So all he could show me, which was, to me, it was quite harrowing. It was quite amazing that all his academic life was in a bag. It was not even in a file, it was just on bits of paper, like this is what I did in high school, in college, my university, degree and whatever. And I thought, wow, this is all he has. I mean, if he lost this bag, that's it. No copies. And that really struck me back, like, wow. Mohammed, you came to this country with probably a suitcase of clothes and the qualifications. That's it. And so, yeah, he went through. Luckily, he went through the rigmarole of getting it ratified by the education authorities. So they translated his results from Iran to UK standards. So we already knew what level he was at. Now, that was just a lot easier for me to actually identify. All right, then, the universities will acknowledge your qualifications. They will not look at you and think this is nothing. But another big hurdle was talking to the Refugee Council, UK Refugee Council, because these guys deal with hundreds of refugees. They just come through, like in a turnstile, just coming through. And when I went there as well, again, it was another experience where I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe what, this infrastructure is like. And Mohammed is just a very small tadpole in a very big sea. For him to have his voice heard, you really have to push. And I have to give it to him. He's quite a confident, assertive guy. You don't need to, with him, the good thing with him, I didn't need to motivate him. His motivation was there. All I needed to do was help him open the door and he'll walk through it gladly. So I went to the UK Refugee Council and I represented him. And it turned out that they tried to work on his case, but he tends to be a very difficult individual because he had a background where he was in control. If I want something, I will get it done. And in the UK, as all of us know, you cannot have that kind of approach. You have to work through the system. You have to work through, and he's not one of those people to be patient. Patience is one of those things where he doesn't have a lot of. And what I had to do was that because he was so motivated, there was no need for me to take first charge. I just had to sit back and support him where he needed support. Now, when we got to the Refugee Council, I found out that the universities he wanted to apply to, we couldn't necessarily go to them and apply because they had said, because of how the system works, you have to go through clearing. There's no way that you can just apply to them personally. They work through the clearing system. You guys know what clearing is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys know? Yeah.
No.
Clearing is basically, let's say I applied for a position in university for IT, but I don't get the grades for it. It doesn't mean that I can't go to university. I just have to wait until the 20th of August. And then any place that hasn't been filled, that's where like 1,000, 100,000 students all apply at the same time. You bring up this number and you try and find the course that you want to do at an alternative university. And that tends to be, it's like a flea market. Everyone's like a fire sale at Christmas. Go! Everyone just goes, and you get a lot of disappointment, a lot of people saying sorry. But through all of it all, you do end up with an alternative. Now, all universities go through this system, and even though Mohammed and I tried to approach them and say, this is a special case, it's not like an 18-year-old kid coming from college. This is a guy who's very well educated, and he's come from a very difficult background. But with the UK system, it doesn't matter. They don't give those specialties. You have to go through like everyone else. So in the midst of doing my dissertation, I made time to go to the UK Refugee Council. I sat with Mohammed. I got the guy in office. I talked to the guy who was dealing with his case. And me and Mohammed sat there for a good few hours, and we ran universities. Now, one of the things that we had to put forward, me and Mohammed, was that you have to look at your situation. You can't apply to anywhere in the UK. You've got to apply to somewhere where you will get this support, such as WHEATMST or the UK Refugee Council. If you apply to Birmingham, that's a whole different area altogether. They may not give you the support that's needed for you. And there's also, you've got to look at areas where or facilities that give you the best, the most conducive environment to study. He has physical disabilities, so therefore, if you go to a university where you have to walk 2 miles to get to the actual campus, and you've got a physical disability, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So certain stipulations had to be taken, and we found that the best situation was to stay in London, because you have the infrastructure here that caters to your needs, transportation links, your community, because London's just multicultural. Whereas if you went to somewhere like Devon, where I grew up, it's not so multicultural. I'm a bit of a rare species out there, right? So we thought, okay, stick to London. And we ran the London universities. Now from there, we did get offers, and it was basically, now the ball is in Mohammed's court. What do you want to do? You've got accounting, you've got business, and the courses are offered to you. But what do you want from this? And we sat down and he said, well, one of the problems that I've encountered here is that even though I spent many years in university and I've got an architecture degree, when I come to a different country, they don't necessarily recognize it to the level that it should be. This man designed buildings, this man worked for big companies, global corporations, whatever, going from country to country, but yet in the UK they don't recognize it as well as they should. So he said, for this business degree or an accounting degree, I want it to be chartered. I want it to be that if I went to the States or back home or to Australia, it will be recognized. So we looked at the courses that gave that kind of chartered, you know what I mean when I say chartered?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we looked for courses that gave you that kind of approval, chartered approval. Not just you've got a UK degree, but also from a recognized institution that says that yes, this guy is competent. And to cut the long story short, Mohammed basically, we helped him, me, Halo, UK Refugee Council, everyone, we helped him get in to do a business course at London Metropolitan University. And it was a struggle, but when he got in, something deep inside of me just thought, a relief, yet a bit of enjoyment, yet I don't know, even my parents, they came to, my father, he came for my, how do you call it, my certificate, because
the ceremony.
the ceremony, just because he realized that the effort you put in, you get right back. It's never gonna be easy. I used to think, I have the mentality of in Thai boxing, if you have a goal, you have to believe to achieve. So if you have a goal and you believe in it that much, it will happen. But I've never incurred such barriers to get such a goal. And it was amazing how much Mohammed wasn't in control himself. And he's a guy who loves to be in control. You understand? He's very confident. He likes knowing everything is. He likes knowing he can pull the strings. But to be left in limbo where I can't access his UCAS results, I don't know what he's achieved academically except on these bits of paper that the only copies he actually ever does have. And then the fact that he also had, he can't deal with stress very well, maybe because of the interrogations or whatever he went through in Iran. But he cannot deal with it so well, so you can't push him too hard. You can't have that mental stamina, even though the mind is willing, but the body is weak. You can't push him, you can't, and then he wants to be in control, and then the institution, you have to go through certain avenues, you can't just go straight. And I just sat there and I thought, I used to think I knew the education system, but it's only until you come across a case like Mohammed's where he wasn't necessarily born here, I wasn't born here, but I'm a citizen. And that's when you realize the privilege that you actually do have, and how, for someone who's not and just coming to the system, how different it is. And I've got to say, from this experience, I did realize how the UK Refugee Council operates, and how they work with WHEATMST, and they recognize Halo. And because I came from there, they did give me a platform to actually show my skills, to actually negotiate with universities, and come out with a result. And to this day, the skills that I have acquired from this experience, I've utilized, in other areas of my life, from working with university students at Imperial, or working one-to-one, or working with kids with like ADHD, like with focus attention deficits problems. I've utilized the skills that I've learned from Mohammed, and through this all, I've gained a friend. Because you can't go through such, trials and tribulation without actually getting to know someone so well. And conversely, he knows me very well. He knows what makes me tick. He knows what makes me act. He knows what makes me, sit back and realize, wait, he knows what he's doing. Let him go ahead, or let me step in and just direct him. So it's multifaceted. That's the way I can put it. It's been fantastic. But if I've missed anything, I'll get this.
Thank you.